Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. The choice we're going to mandate you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you. All right, rapper and Pimp My Ride exhibit was supposed to be in, but it canceled last minute, but he'll be in next week.
He exhibited flu symptoms.
Did he?
Morning. Yeah.
So that's fine. We'll move on. I got lots of stuff to talk about. Man, I don't even know where to begin. All right. You know my theory that women are meaner than men?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's like we worry about wolves or lions, grizzly bears and stuff, but birds are the meanest. They're the meanest creatures. They just can't do that much damage.
Yeah.
But if they could,
they'd rule the world.
They would fucking destroy you.
Yeah.
You could not walk out of your house. If birds...
They're fearless.
If birds were the size... And by the way, they don't have to be 180 pounds. They have to be the size of adult male. If they were 50 pounds, we'd be fucked. They'd be killing us and eating us.
Yeah,
but
as somebody who's been attacked by a bird, a small bird.
They're just
terrifying.
the meanest. When I was a kid, we had a cat named Norman, and Norman just showed up at the house. Like, we didn't go out and get a cat. Norman just kind of showed up. We had one air conditioner in the house I grew up in, and it was one of those wall mount air conditioners or window mount. Mm-hmm. And so the window was like 4 feet wide, but the air conditioner was only 2 feet wide. So what they would do is they'd give you these accordion plastic things that you'd pull.
I literally have installed those in the last month.
Oh man, the silent sound of the accordion being pulled out is the sound of loser. That's all I got to say.
I know the regular accordion's pretty bad too.
So we had this stupid air, and we had one, and you know, San Fernando Valley, man, dog days of summer, man, it got fucking hot, and so the one air conditioner would be in my stepdad's room, which was also the den or the living room. It's where the TV was. So we had a TV next to an air conditioner, and that meant that's where you spent your time, because my room had no TV and no air conditioner and nothing else. It wasn't like electronic battleship or anything. It was just a porch with a cot mattress on it. So we would go in and we would sit on my stepdad's bed. a bed. His bed. Not a sofa, his bed.
Yeah. Just at the edge of it. And
he would, because my stepdad and my mom did not sleep in the same room.
Oh, that's a thing these days too.
Oh, he was on the vanguard of sleeping in another room.
Snoring too loud?
You know what?
Let
me tell you something. I never asked my mom a question, because the reason is if I asked her a question, we could start going down some road and there could be a lot of tears. You know what I mean? Like, you know, gee, Mom, your mom, yeah. How come you call her Helen? How come you don't call her Mom? Do you think I want to know the answer to that fucking question? Could there be a good answer to that question? No. I call my mom Helen. Like this way before The Simpsons, where, you know, Homer was called Homer. Right. No, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know where my mom met my stepdad, although I found out. I did not want to find out, but Ray went and found out and then told me. Primal scream therapy.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't need that information.
That's haunting.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'd ruled out some places they'd met, like on a yacht. I'd ruled that out. I'd ruled out high stakes poker game. You know, at one of those south of France casinos. Right. You know, any swimming in the Mediterranean Sea or on
anything abroad,
on vacation in Maui, even at a buffet, anything above Sizzler. Or Shakey's. I would say there were more Shakey's level. But anyway, I didn't want to know, but I found out. I to this day don't want to know why they slept in separate rooms. For me, it was just like, look, I got a weird family. Everything's fucked up. And this is just one more fucked up thing.
Did they ever show affection like PDA? They kiss in front of you, hold hands?
No. They just sort of sat there.
So they're roommates.
I guess. And, my mom was a broken person, so she just kind of sat there. And we would just sit in the house and sweat. My mom had very fine, thin hair and was one of the only females I know that had like the sweaty forehead, which, one of the good things I got from her is a sweaty forehead. And I would just see her very thin, fine hair bangs like stuck to her forehead while we sat there and ate a pot of lentil stew. You know what I mean? In the main part of the house. But then we would adjourn to John's room, and then we would watch the black and white Zenith. But at some point, the accordion plastic in the air conditioning thing to make up the gap between the difference between the size of the air conditioning and the width of the window. Of course, the air conditioning, the unit was used, had a lot of miles on it. Everything was bought at a garage sale. And the plastic just gave way and just kind of fell apart, like got beaten down by the sun too much and just broke. So instead of going and purchasing a new accordion piece, what we did, and what my mom did, is took a piece of jeans from cutoffs, because everything needed to be repurposed. It's like we're like Tom Hanks on an island. You know what I mean?
We did that too.
Yeah, I found an ice skate. Okay, I could use this to open a coconut. Like, that's how we were. Anything that floated up on shore, we just have to use it.
Do not throw that away.
Yeah, so we got the gene, and then my mom took two thumbtacks, and she thumbtacked this jean flap, which didn't really make the mark, but it got about 80% of the opening covered.
Right, a little sail.
But then one day, this adult cat named Norman just sort of popped up. And he put his head through the jean, and he was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Oh, a cat." We didn't have any cats or pets or dogs or anything, so I was like, "Oh, a cat." And then Norman kind of hung out, and then we started feeding him and stuff, and then he would just come in and he would leave through the same flap. He was kind of like kind of ferally, kind of an outdoory, but he was cool. He would come in and hang out a little and eat a little, and then he just head out again. And eventually he became our cat.
Yeah, it became part of his routine.
But at some point he upset some robin's nest or something like that. And he couldn't go outside because when he went outside, he got dive bombed by birds. Mm-hmm. Eventually he left us and went to the neighbor's house and popped up through their underpinning into their bathroom cabinet and sort of hung out and he went to greener pastures is what Norman did. Awesome. I have no idea what happened to Norman. But anyway, women are angry. And here's how you know women are angry. Because if you have to kind of think about what is, guys fighting when they're drunk because one guy pushed a guy and knocked him off his bar stool, or one guy's a Raiders fan and the other guy's a Ravens fan or whatever. It's aggression, it's fighting, but it's sort of sensical fighting. It lives somewhere. It's not unadulterated bursts of anger. Almost all of the footage I've seen of people, and if you have to think about how despicable this act is. People in New York and in other places have been posting pictures of missing people that were abducted by Hamas, and Americans, Israelis, and they're putting up these pictures so we can put a face to this tragedy, and not even tragedy, a face to these homicidal maniacs known as Hamas, and they've been posting these things up. Ostensibly, it is their loved one who has been abducted by Hamas. I don't think you could have a worse night's sleep than a loved one abducted by Hamas. You know what I mean? In terms of the vision in your head. There's, there's like, Russia's keeping the basketball player. And you could go, man, that's got to suck. But she's there. She's got a roof over her head. She's got a cot and some meals. And you can imagine a day when she would be traded for the merchant of death or somebody, fair trade.
Especially, yeah.
And return. But abducted by Hamas, like especially if it's your daughter or something. I mean,
it's almost a death sentence, right?
And not only that, but you're picturing what are they doing to her? Where's she living? So there's people that are grieving at in a very intense level, and they're putting up pictures of their loved ones that have been abducted by Hamas. And there's a certain group of people who think it's a good idea to tear the pictures down.
I've seen videos of this, yeah.
They've deputized themselves to show up at the square at the school or the university or wherever there's in Brooklyn or whatever. There's like, I'm tearing them all down.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, first off, could you be a worse person? Is there a worse person than this person? Number one. And then number two, at least according to the footage I've seen, it's about 86% women. It is women. It is like 25-year-old chicks that are tearing. I mean, what else do you need to know? It's not MMA fighters. It's not bouncers.
Yeah.
It's not ex-NFL players. It is chicks.
Do you think any of them are moms?
I don't know. I see middle-aged ones. I see younger ones. I see them coming in groups.
Crazy.
And they're tearing them down in front of the people who put them up.
That makes no sense.
I want those people, by the way, rounded up and removed from society. That's the
we
scariest.
should study them first. I need to know why. What's the end game here? What's the motivation?
Well, that's the point. When you're the dude and the guy pushes you and sitting at the bar and knocks you off your bar stool, that's your motivation for punching it.
Right.
This is completely unmotivated. That's the scary part. That's what makes you much more hostile and aggressive than most dudes. They do not need the motivation. By the way, I would love to get Ami Horowitz to interview these people and find out what the fuck they're doing.
Same.
I mean, I get it. You're pro-Palestine. If you're pro-Palestine, then maybe you're pro-Hamas or whatever. You're just pro-Palestine.
But you should be anti brutality.
It'd be nice. All right. So I'm not making it up. I feel like 85% of them are women.
I'm sadly going to say 100% of the videos I've seen of that happening are women.
I saw
but that's just based on the videos I've seen
I saw one dude with his girlfriend.
I saw several dudes in videos. It's all over the place. They're doing it at UCSB.
Yeah, I'm saying there are some dudes, but majority are women.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. All right. So women are officially angry, and they're angrier than dudes now. The fucking Kraken has been unleashed.
Yeah.
And they've been weaponized. So look out.
Robins.
Look out, world.
Yeah.
That's why they call them birds in England. All right. I had this thought. You guys tell me if we can improve on this, but I think it's pretty good. Kat Von D, it's getting her tattoos removed. And
Not removed, blacked out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Getting them blacked out.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why, but it's just literally an armful of black ink. She's now
You've seen this.
it's turned into a black person. All right. And I was sitting around and I was watching this on TMZ and I was like, what about me and a tattoo? Like, what I don't want a tattoo. I'm not interested in a tattoo, but I don't get, to me, a tattoo is a participation trophy. Anyone can get one. You just show up and pay someone $500 and you get a tattoo. It's not an exclusive club for me. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not. Yeah, you don't earn it. I was here over the weekend, and I was just organizing all day on Sunday here.
I noticed the place looks great.
Yeah, I was going at it, and I was pulling off awards and things that people sent me, and nice things that people made for me, and portraits and pictures and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, oh, nice. And I was looking at these old pictures of winning a car race or something. And I was like, yeah, it felt good. But I'm hearkening back to doing something, not paying for a tattoo, which does not set me apart from anyone. But I thought to myself, what kind of tattoo would I get? And then I thought, well, I'm pretty pragmatic. I don't want any tattoos, but if I got tattoos, I would get a tattoo that had some function. Now, most people go, well, how could you do that? I mean, like a functional tattoo.
Like a barcode, driver's license number.
Yeah, it's getting warm. I thought to myself, everyone should think about this. I was thinking about getting a tattoo. This would work for men and women. Like, well, let's just say women. I don't know what's going on with women, but if you notice, their arms are getting big. A lot of big-armed women bopping around. That didn't really exist when I was a kid. They're getting bigger. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and, I noticed I got a gut now. I got a belly, And I thought to myself, I would get 2 lines, 1 finger apart. Just 1 inch tall, fine line, thin line, had 1 finger space. I would do it on the problem zones. I would do it on the belly.
Yeah.
Maybe your double chin. Maybe your ass. Women could do the upper arm.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like women could do just 2 lines, upper arm. That 2 line is 1/2 inch apart, each one. And then you got to look at it. And you got to see, is that line getting wider?
Right.
Is that we getting further apart? Because I can tell you, a lot of women from age 22 to age 42, that line start getting pretty damn wide. And you could look at it. And by the way, you go sleeveless. The rule is fingers width between the 2 lines. So you see someone walking around the mall with 4.5 inches in between those 2 lines. You know there was a time. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think it would slow your roll. I think, I would get out of the shower and see the one on my gut had spread out to 1 1/8 inches, and it started at 1/2 inch.
It's a more definitive measurement because if anybody gains weight, it's kind of hard to tell while it's happening because you're just seeing yourself so gradually, so slowly. But if you see and you can measure actually the distance, it'd be embarrassing. I would. The shame alone.
I think guys could put a line to where their hair used to be. Just call the hairline. You just put that line right at that hairline. And when you checked it a few years later and you saw that the hair was 1 inch behind the line, it's time to head up to the center.
Know, that one's not your fault.
No, that's an act of God, but it might say it's time, it's time to stop combing things forward like Chuck Todd. It's time to go hit the center and get the Jay Moore treatment.
Yeah, and these tattoos should be given medically, right? So you can show if, hey, I used to be pretty in shape. My hair used to be pretty good. So I'm still great for breeding. I'm still great for reproduction.
Yeah,
my kids will look good.
Oh, we'll do the 2 fine lines. Again, just like 2 lines 1 inch long next to each other, but 1/2 inch apart. And then we'll just put a little date under it. You know what I mean?
It should be marked.
And you can now mark the twine. You can tell where you're going. All right, and by the way, you can see about shrinking that.
It works
chasm.
both ways.
You know what I mean? Like what a glorious day it would be when the 2 lines met and maybe even swap sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, why is that girl into me? Oh, you see her lines are a lot closer together.
Right.
She used to have some low
and it would be like,
there.
and we could do away with the insulting tags. Oh, she was a heifer or a beefer or whatever. Just go, have you seen her lines?
All cow-related.
Her lines never even met. Her lines are like as close as Canada and Mexico's border. Like that was their line spreader. She's a line spreader. Yeah. All right. I would do that, and I bet Kat wishes she did that too.
Yeah, she got a bunch of tattoos that she just fell out of love with. I mean, she got them in her 20s or early 20s. Yeah, you're not gonna like the same stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, and it would prevent. See, a lot of people own a scale, but they don't want to get on it.
I hate getting on it.
I hate it too.
There's something I was thinking about this. There's something related to me avoiding stepping on a scale. As I said, like Jen always wants me to weigh my baby and see how much he weighs. But in order for me to do that, I have to step on the scale first and then get the baby and step on the scale and do the math. But that means I have to find out my own weight, which I'm trying to avoid, sadly. But also, did you do this with bank accounts growing up? I hate looking at my bank account sometimes, and I avoid it. And it's somewhat part of it's subconscious. I just don't like looking at it, and I get the same feeling when I don't want to know my wage. Like, I just don't want to know. I know I'm fine. I know it'll be okay, but I feel that knowing the exact number would depress me.
The bank account, report card, possibly scale, these are all just markers of your failure as a human being. And so, like, when I was a kid, the report card was like, oh, God, now we got to confirm.
Time to face the music.
Time to confirm all this stuff. I was that way with my bank account too. I mean, I remember going in trying to get $20 out of an ATM, and I had $20 in my account, but it rejected me because it was like $1 to use the ATM, which put me at $21.
You can't pay the service fee.
I was right up to the minimum that the machine would spit out, but I was rejected because it was $1. It was $1 over. Yeah. I had no money and I had no way to manage my account myself. I didn't know any of that stuff.
But there has to be a correlation, just not wanting to know, like blissfully ignorant.
Well, I can't remember if I was talking about this. I think I was talking about it on stage. I can't remember if I was talking about it on this podcast. But when I got a physical about 3 weeks ago, I was just sitting in a chair, and they're like filling the thing out, and they're like, "How tall are you?"
Oh, right.
6'2". How much do you weigh? I'm like, 195. Why don't you get on the scale?
Let's confirm that.
We take nobody's word. We'll take your word for your height and your zodiac sign, but your fucking weight, get on it.
Your tattoo lines are a little farther apart than I remember.
Yeah, and I was like, the same scale has that weird stick thing that could come out and measure my height. We could verify my height, but they don't use it.
Your height doesn't change.
Yes, that's
often,
true.
Does it?
No, I get what they're doing. What I'm saying is they don't take your word for it.
No, they don't.
They know where you're fucking going with this thing. All right. There's a great Tucker Carlson clip talking about...
Oh, shared all over the weekend about the George Floyd and how it's not what we think.
Well, I mean...
Elon shared it.
Okay, listen. All right. Well, we'll just play it. We'll play the first minute and a half, and then we'll get into it.
Stand by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting time we're living in. It is. I find it fascinating. One of the most fascinating parts of the time we're living in, after we hear this, will be the agents and the custodians, I should say, of the misinformation crew, who's constantly talking to everyone about starting a bureau of misinformation so these dangerous ideas don't get out there, these lies, have turned out to be lying about everything from Hunter Biden's laptop to COVID to Black Lives Matter to George Floyd. They've been lying about everything.
Yeah.
But they want to start an agency to prevent misinformation from getting out there.
And it's ironic because then they'll use misinformation to say how they were right the whole time and rewrite history that way.
All right, here's Tucker.
Now that we know that it was not, in fact, a pandemic of the unvaccinated, now that we know that Ukraine is not actually winning the war against Russia, it could be time to revisit some of the other slogans we've been assured are true and ordered to repeat. Are they, in fact, true? Did, for example, a racist white cop actually murder a man called George Floyd, a civil rights leader, in Minneapolis on Memorial Day of 2020? Now, we've been told that happened, told it relentlessly for more than 3 years. So at this point, we've been told it so much that pretty much everybody seems to believe it. And because everyone does kind of believe it, a small group of people has been allowed to make massive changes to American society. They include, but are not limited to, decriminalizing stealing, defunding the police, adding a new federal holiday to the calendar called Juneteenth, the ceasing of hiring all white men in corporate America, and of course, significantly, they also sent a cop called Derek Chauvin to prison for more than 40 years. He would be the racist white devil who murdered George Floyd. But the question is, did he actually murder George Floyd? And the answer is, well, no, he didn't murder George Floyd. And we're not guessing about that. We know it conclusively, thanks to a new court case now underway in Hennepin County, Minnesota. The case was brought by a prosecutor there called Amy Sweezy. She's suing her boss. So the case is not actually about George Floyd or Derek Chauvin, but it tells you an awful lot about both of them. In her deposition, which you should read, Amy Sweezy describes a conversation that she had with the county medical examiner, Andrew Baker, right after George Floyd died. Quote, "I called Dr. Baker early that morning to tell him about the case and to ask him if he would perform the autopsy on Mr. Floyd." Sweezy recalls all this under oath in the deposition. Quote, "He called me later in the day on that Tuesday, and he told me that there were no medical findings that showed any injury to the vital structures of Mr. Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation." Oh. In other words, George Floyd, according to the official autopsy, was not murdered. He died instead of what we used to call natural causes, which in his case would include decades of drug use, as well as the fatal concentration of fentanyl that was in his system on his final day. So this was not a killing. It was yet another narcotics OD in a country that records more than 100,000 of them every year. The medical examiner clearly understood that and in fact articulated it. And Sweezy explains. "He said to me," she recalls in the deposition, "Amy, what happens when the actual evidence doesn't match up with the public narrative that everyone's already decided on?" And then he said, quote, "This is the kind of case that ends careers." In other words, everyone lied about it from the very beginning. The people who knew the truth hid the truth and allowed the revolution to proceed. Now they've been exposed. Now we know the truth. What happens next? Well, they're going to ignore it. The Biden administration just issued a long purple statement celebrating George Floyd's birthday. He's a martyr, despite the fact we know that he was not murdered. And by the way, Derek Chauvin is still languishing in jail for the rest of his life. So how do we respond to this? How do we respond to the truth once we have it? Well, Vince Everett Ellison seemed like a good man.
This guy, Vince Everett, this guy's the greatest human being who's ever been put on the planet.
Passionate.
Probably get him on the show. And we'll play some clips from him later on, maybe another show. Listen, I've been saying this for years. I just watched the NFL on Sunday. Every other end zone has the end racism thing.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's the George Floyd thing, like murdered at the hands of the white police. Then there's, Haitians being beaten at the border. And then you wonder why this group is so agitated and so angry. It's the fucking race hustlers, and you don't have to be black to be a race hustler anymore. Joe Biden is a race hustler. Kamala Harris is a race hustler. They're all hustling these people, agitating these people, and then at some point they take to the streets and cities burn.
Yeah.
It's the most irresponsible thing anyone in power could do. They need to do the opposite, but instead they hustle them, they agitate them, and again, if every end zone in the NFL says end racism, then we must have a huge problem with racism in this country to use up that kind of real estate.
Yeah, it gets the most coverage on Sundays.
God.
I did end racism though because of that. At least my personal.
You
racism.
knocked it off?
Yeah, watching
I gave Sunday a break, but I got back to it. Jesus Christ. I don't think it's always bothered me. I've always thought of it as dangerous, literally dangerous. Like, people die, billions of dollars in damage, cities ruined. You know what I mean? Like, it's dangerous. And guys like Joe Biden, who claim to run on the centrist, sort of a steady hand, let's get back to basics, kind of Uncle Joe kind of thing, turned out to be a race hustler. It's insane. And it's so, it goes against your fiduciary duty as a politician or as anyone in a position of power. And also, it's obviously the news. I mean, it's just, but like all right, and it's misinformation. Like, if you'd been watching Tucker Carlson during the whole George Floyd thing, you would have found out about high levels of fentanyl in his system and all his arrests and all his crimes, and you would have gotten the full story, and also stuff like Candace Owens and people like that. Now, then here's the bizarre part. The bizarre part is I'm watching Bill Maher's show over the weekend, and then Nancy Pelosi's daughter, documentarian, shows up, and Bill's like saying, well, what about this chasm between this half of the country and that half of the country? And she's and they're like, Trump supporters or people on the other side of the aisle or right-leaning people. They're good people.
Yeah.
They love their family. They love this country.
They make bad decisions, but they're good people.
They make bad decisions politically,
right.
but they work hard. They pay their bills. They take care of their family, and they love this country.
Yeah.
So they go, and so he's saying to her, like, what can we do to get those people to understand, which essentially the truth, or take them to the light of good.
Right.
And she's like, well, the problem is there's all these alternative feeds, and those people are getting their information
media,
from these
the
other
algorithms,
information. Yep. We need to take them and show them our information, our truth. Right. So she's basically saying, these guys are watching Fox when they should be watching MSNBC and CNN, except for MSNBC and CNN were the ones who were saying that George Floyd was murdered. They were saying that January 6th was a violent and bloody insurrection where there's many lives were lost. They were the ones who were saying that the Capitol police officer was killed because of blunt force trauma, not died in his office of natural causes. They were the one who were talking about all things COVID, all things Fauci, all things shut down, all of it, vaccine, all of it wrong. They're the ones who are making the thing about the Haitians at the border being whipped. They're the ones who are calling Kyle Rittenhouse a killer, white supremacist who showed up with a gun and knew no one who lived in Oshkosh. Like, they were the ones who got everything wrong. Oh, Hunter Biden's laptop. There's no proof. That's it. It's Russian collusion. There's no connection between Joe Biden and her. They got everything wrong, and Russian collusion and Trump, the PP tape and the Steele dossier. They lied about everything for 5 years, and their solution is you need to come over to the place that got everything wrong and or lied and start getting your information from them. So you can get to the truth about where the lab, was it the lab leak or was it the wet market? Well, we should go to MSNBC and find out what the truth is. Is the Hunter Biden's laptop real or is that a Russian collusion? Well, come on over to CNN and find out. Yeah. Oh, we have a document. 51 experts signed off on. Oh, okay. So her remedy for this problem is stop listening to people, whoever those doctors were, Jay Bhattacharya and all those guys. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to the Great Barrington Declaration. Do not listen to anybody who said anything. You can't listen to Ron DeSantis. You have to listen to Gavin Newsom. You have to listen to Barbara Ferrer from the LA County. Your problem is you're listening to these other doctors, and we need to silence them, and then you need to get your information from us, and that would correct this problem.
Yeah. Like, ideally, it did make sense when they said, okay, we should be getting information from all sides and consuming the same from both sides. But the solution was, no, we should be getting all the information from my side and funneling that to them, too, so we can all think alike.
Yes. You guys should have been listening to CNN when they said 500 people died inside a hospital that was bombed by Israel. You should have listened to that. Not Fox. Fox was saying rockets hit a parking lot and no way did 500 people die. Right. And that's footage of Hamas rocket being fired from a graveyard behind the hospital. Don't listen to them. Listen to CNN. They know. Right. And then that would be Nancy Pelosi's daughter. That would be the solution to this problem. If we could just start getting our information from the people that had a narrative that she enjoyed. Okay. All right. And then we know everything. We know about the Hunter Biden laptop. That was a fake.
Yeah.
Didn't exist. We know that there was no connection, that Joe Biden never got any money or was never involved with any of these discussions. Be nothing. We know exactly how everything worked. And we would have known about George Floyd, or we would have known about, remember that Covington Catholic kid who stood in front of the proud American Indian? We know the truth about how that whole story went down. We know about all of it. If we would just listen to Pelosi's daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting way to go. All right. I got much more to complain about, and we'll do that right after this. Oh, wait. Sorry. We're going to review, because I saw Killers of the Flower Moon, and you saw Old
Dads, yeah.
Old Dads? All right. We'll give movie reviews and many more thoughts right after this. Tommy John. Only a few gifts can make your loved ones look good and feel amazing. I would say at the top of that would be Tommy John. When you gift Tommy John, your loved ones feel so much more comfortable. They do everything better. Once you get into Tommy John, you will not get out of Tommy John. This softness season, give the gift of comfort to everyone on your list. New Tommy John underwear, loungewear, and pajamas. It's all, the problem with the stuff is you won't want to take it off. I'm talking about the loungewear and the pajamas. 97% of women love the gift of Tommy John. Over 20 million pairs sold, thousands of 5-star reviews. Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics, and I am one of them. Best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free. Guarantee. That's Tommy John, right, Dawson?
Shop TommyJohn.com/Adam right now for the holidays and get 20% off your first order. Save 20% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/Adam. TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details. In honor of Jim Carolla's 92nd birthday, here's a list of all the things Adam Carolla will do before he dies. Catch a punch and twist the guy's hand until he goes down to his knees. Just one of the things Adam will do before he dies. Let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
All right. We got some movie reviews. Yes. So, Killers of the Flower Moon, 92% with the critics. 85 with the people. Oh, one up one. I was at 84 before, but that's all right. That's about right. Critics are going to like it because it's about American Indians being taken advantage of. So you got a good theme.
Plus, Scorsese's still hot.
That's good. There's no doubt it's good. I think his wife, the woman who played his wife's got to be a shoo-in for an Oscar.
Lily Gladstone.
Because she's American Indian, and she did a great job.
I heard it was a pretty epic performance.
Yes, but she will be competing against a number of other women who turned in an epic performance as well. But the American Indian part,
that'll help.
You go right to the top of the leaderboard. Yeah. I mean, Sachin
Littlefeather made a.
She
really
made an appearance.
Yeah.
Oh, she wasn't an Indian. Oh, CNN would have said she was an Indian.
I heard according to
Pelosi's
daughter.
She did a great job, and she's American Indian, which in the intersectional space bumps you above black, you're above lesbian, you're above Asian. American Indian gets you to the top of that. So that, and she gave a great performance. Shoes in it. I don't even know. You got to check, Dawson, but whatever the Vegas odds are of her getting an Oscar, go now. Put the money.
Right.
If it's open for betting,
I think she's already the front runner. So
no. What I'm saying is look, there's two ways to gamble. Mike Tyson in his prime is fighting against Soup Can McGee, right? And Mike Tyson is a 26-1 favorite, right? And you go 26-1, but what real gamblers do is they go, I'll bet $1 million on Tyson and make 10 grand because he's going to win. Yeah, I already know he's going to win. So I'm saying is she's a favorite already. Still bet $10,000 and make $3,000. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. It's
guaranteed money.
It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. They need an American Indian. That's how the awards work. It's locked. It's a lead pipe cinch lock. Okay, so do that. And again, you got to bet. I think everyone always thinks I want to bet $1,000 and make $10,000. But You can bet $50,000 and make $10,000 too. It's done.
Right.
She's going to win.
Still win.
All right. So, long movie. I don't know. I don't know. Hey, look, to me, we got to cap it at 3 hours. You got to cap at 3 hours. If you can't get your story done, if you can't get the story done in 3 hours, there's something wrong. I got to tell you, 3.5.
Over 3.5 hours.
Is it over 3.5?
206 minutes.
Oh.
It's like 3.43
Oh,
hours.
no. Wait a minute. I thought that meant 3 hours and 26
I'm
minutes.
thinking, a little less than 3.5 hours. Sorry.
Are you Asian or not? Just shut up. I already figured it out because I ran it. All right, but it's 3.5 hours. Too long. You got to carve a half hour out of there. That's all.
I agree. Or at least put an intermission or something. If you're watching it in the theater, go refill your drinks, your popcorn, go to the bathroom.
So there's
Don't
that. Then I had this weird thing, and I don't even know how we research it, but at some point, halfway into the movie, 2 hours in, some sheriff, some guy, some deputy or something pops up. And then I think to myself, that guy looks just like John Lithgow, but younger. He must be John Lithgow's son. Huh. That's what I think to myself. And then 40 minutes later, 5/8 into the movie, John Lithgow pops up in the movie, which I did not know. I just assumed DiCaprio was in it and De Niro, and I was going to go see it. I did not know about, Frazier and Lithgow and all these other people.
Okay.
And then Lithgow pops up, and I was like, oh, okay. Lithgow got his son a job as one of the deputies in this movie, because I see the guy, and I go, oh, that guy looks like John Lithgow.
You thought it before you even saw or knew Lithgow.
And when I
was
saw
in
him, then I go home and I try to Google myself right, and I can't do it. I cannot find. John Lithgow's son was an actor, is an actor, was in, I don't know, Third
Rock?
Yeah, look, but did little bits, like it made sense.
All bones that his dad threw him.
Right, but was not in this movie. And then I went and looked up John Lithgow's son, and he does look just like John Lithgow, which is this actor as well, but it isn't John Lithgow's son unless I missed something. 'Cause I cannot find him in this movie.
But did he play John Lithgow's son in the movie?
Nope. Showed up as a sheriff, or not a sheriff, just one of the deputies in the group. He didn't have a big part. I just saw his face, and I went, "That's Jonathan Lithgow." And then the other guy, the guy who played the lead investigator, I remember joking about this guy. From certain angles and in certain scenes, looks exactly like Matt Damon, but a husky Matt Damon. That's Jesse
Plemons.
Jesse Plemons.
Love him.
When you see him in certain angles and certain scenes, he looks exactly like Matt Damon, but husky. Husky Matt Damon.
His voice is Matt Damon-y too.
And so when we were watching football, we were talking about this guy. And he's like a husky. We labeled him Fat Damon. I wouldn't say that to him if he was here.
Yeah,
but
he's awesome.
I
love him.
If I said, look, I'm looking for a husky Matt Damon who's a few years younger, I'd go, we should get Jesse.
I think he's a better actor than Matt Damon.
He's a great actor. He was great. And it's just something in the eyes. I don't know what it is, but at a certain point, it's not in every scene, but at a certain point, they like change the angle or whatever, and you go, Matt Damon, Fat Damon.
You know who his wife is?
No.
Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That makes sense because they have the same coloring. No. They have the same color. I think people stay with their own color. I did not know Jack White was in. Oh, he was one of the radio show actors. I didn't know. I mean, by the time they got to the end, I didn't even know who was in this movie.
There's a big story that Robert De Niro was getting annoyed by how much Leonardo DiCaprio improv'd
Oh,
during
really?
filming. Yeah.
By the way, Gene Jones is in this movie, who has got some scenes. Gene Jones, you'll probably recognize only, or maybe for sure, from No Country for Old Men. He's the guy who runs that gas station that his wife had.
Yeah.
And he wanted
Very
him to
tense scene.
flip the coin. And he's just great in that scene. That's just a wonderful, amazing scene. And he's in this movie as well. It's good. It's long. I didn't understand all of it all the time, but it's good, and it's worth a watch. I was a little confused. It took place in the 1920s, and the Indians were all big, and I thought they were skinny back then, and they got big recently, which would make sense.
Yeah.
But these were rich Indians, so they got big because they weren't, chasing down buffalo and stuff.
Yeah, being big was a sign of wealth.
Yeah, and then I thought, are you doing a movie in today's day and age? If you're going to do a movie with American Indians, you can't have Jewish actors playing them, like F Troop, like the Hakawi tribe. We're just a bunch of Jewish actors with like orange paint on their skin. You're going to get crucified if you make a movie about Indians and you have a white guy or Mexican guy playing an Indian, right? So they all need to be Indians.
Yeah.
But all the Indians were big. And I thought, is that because we can't find skinny Indians anymore? But it wasn't. I went and looked it up, and I looked up, and they had the actual character picture with the olden time, or the original picture, the original person from the 20s and the 30s. They were big.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
They got it right.
Well, here's what I want to say, people. I was convinced of a few things. I was like, hateful thoughts. And John Lithgow's son. I was like, in my mind, John Lithgow's son is 100% in this movie because I saw a guy look just like him. I announced it, and then John Lithgow showed up 15 minutes later. He got his kid a job. The fucking Nepo baby.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. If I walked out of the theater, if you would have said to me, okay, you want to make a bet, see if John Lithgow's son's in this movie? I'd go, I'll take all odds, any money. He's 100%. I announced he was in it, and then his dad showed up. Okay, I was wrong. And then I announced that they couldn't find any skinny Indians. I said that to myself. I didn't say it out loud. And I thought, they can't find skinny Indians anymore. I've seen the tribal casino commercials, the ones where they're against Prop 182 because Las Vegas wants to come in and build a casino next to the tribal casino, whatever. They're all huge. So I'm like, it must be. And I went and looked at the old photos. No, they were big back then too. Big in the 20s.
So he did his fact checking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you thinking of Sturgill Simpson, the musician? He kind of looks Lithgowy in the movie, I think.
Sturgill Simpson. I'd have to see a picture of Sturgill. What's his role? Does it say?
I just looked at an image, so I don't even know what his role was. But I was
okay.
to see
Well,
let's
give me a picture
Lithgow.
of Sturgill
in the
Simpson
movie.
in the movie, and then he looked like a Sturgill. And then I looked up Lithgow's son, and Lithgow's son looks like Lithgow and looked like the guy in this movie. No,
not him? Okay.
No, that's not It's not Lithgow's son. There is, and by the way, this guy's a bad guy. He's one of the deputy guys. Anyway, good. I recommend it, but
how is Robert De Niro? Does he still have his fastball?
Yes. De Niro's great in it.
Okay.
Still's got his fastball. He did all those, he did some of those like bad grandpa movies and stuff like that. It sort of seemed like, is this Robert De Niro anymore? All right. Now we look at Lithgow and his son, right?
Yeah, it must be.
Who looks
because this is at an event. This
like Lithgow, right?
Yeah.
Now, Byron, you got to go comb through this cast and find the guy who looks like Lithgow's son. Because now the guy in this movie looked a little more like Lithgow than even his son. But anyway, good. Recommend it. empty your fucking bladder before you go in there,
Right.
and you're still going to take a piss break at some point.
What about Brendan Fraser? How was he? Because I heard his performance was lackluster.
He is the only. First off, he kept the fat suit on, as far as I could
From
tell.
the whale, yeah.
Still big. I mean, he's big. He got bigger, I think, which is weird.
He got a little thicker, regardless. Like even like when he was doing promo and press up for the way. I mean, it just comes with age, I guess.
That's why he needed the tattoo
He
lines.
needed the lines, yeah,
Because you go from Tarzan to this. It's those lines are getting pretty wide.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't care. I don't listen. If you're big, you're big. I'm not trying to do it, but I did. It just struck me as interesting that he, like, when people put on weight for a role, they normally then when you see them 2 years later, they're back to what their fighting weight was. He is not. For him, that's the only piece of the movie that felt like stunt casting. That's the only part of it.
All that heat on him already.
He was just there, and he didn't need to be there, and his stuff was big and way over the top, and it just felt. That's the only part of the movie that felt a little distracting. Everyone else just melted right into the role, was not distracting, and you didn't even recognize most of the people. But he was a little distracting.
Yeah. Number 2 at the box office.
What was number 1?
You don't know?
No.
Taylor Swift, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Eras Tour.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it had to be. I wasn't thinking of that as a movie for some reason. I was thinking
that's a movie release. She released it herself, though, so
oh my God.
Imagine how much money she's getting just from the theatrical release.
Oh, my God. I mean, could you imagine? You know, oh, God. I wonder if she marries, what's his name?
Kelsey.
You know, it'd be funny. It'd be funny if Kelsey was like dating or maybe engaged to some chick who was like, you know, hot chick who worked at Hooters or a cheerleader for Kansas City or something like that. Like we just had some sort of hot civilian chick, and he had like a prenup pre-drawn up, like he'd already drawn one up, and then it turns out that he's going to marry Taylor Swift, right? It'd be so funny going through his prenup with Taylor Swift because she'd have to be like, oh, that's cute.
We're just going to have to switch the names around.
Yeah. And a couple are going to add a few zeros while we're at it. Holy shit.
Yeah, he just bought a big old new mansion.
I mean, how much money has she made over the last 18 months? I mean,
unreal.
It's unreal.
She's changing the economy.
Jesus Christ. All right, you saw Bad Dads?
Old Dads. Yeah,
sorry.
it's a Netflix release. It's Bill Burr's new movie. He wrote and directed it and stars in it. Also Bobby Cannavale, who's great in it too. So, I mean, I am biased just because I love Bill Burr. So I'm already on his side when this movie takes place. But I think this show's audience is really going to connect with it too. It's about like older generation guys who like in their 50s who have to deal with the new millennials taking over.
Yeah,
and you know the parent, and then also parenting skills, letting the kids choose. You know, he's like, oh, you got her, rub some dirt on it. And another guy's like, oh no, you should rub some Neosporin on that. What are you talking about? And they kind of get into it. It's basically that. I had a great time watching it. Bill's a really good actor.
Yeah,
I was really impressed by how convincing. Usually when you see a comedian, like every episode of Seinfeld, like it's like, okay, you're a comedian who's acting, but Bill's a good actor. But yeah, I think everybody who likes this show is going to like this movie. But what you're going to love, Adam, is the discrepancy between the critic score and the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's the new world order.
Put it up, Byron. So right now it's at critics 17% and audience score 90%.
Yeah. Listen, it's what we're basically talking about is the chasm between what the people at Rolling Stone think of Lou Reed and what people who hear Lou Reed songs think of it.
Right.
Now it's going in the opposite direction here, but that's the new world order. There's the kind of the tastemakers. And those, and I can tell you what the critics are going to like and what they're not going to like based on the theme of the movie. And if it's Bill Burr complaining about wokeism,
it is.
That's an issue. And
it is the #1 movie on Netflix right now. So yeah, everybody who's listening, go watch it. I think you'll like it.
And also, I think in certain movies, you just have to throw out the critic score depending on what the theme is of the movie, and just go with the audience.
You should already expect, if you're making just a standard comedy, I mean, just bracing yourself for impact on that critic score. It has to be part of the game, because you're never going to expect to get over a 70%.
Well, not now.
Right.
I made a comedy movie, 15 years ago, and I got 81% with the critics, the Hammer, whatever. That's before all the 82%. That's before all the shit went down.
Right.
I couldn't do that now.
There's nothing you think there's something? What would critics today say about the Hammer? Because maybe Ozzy's role.
No. They wouldn't go after the material. They don't like me.
Oh, right. So what would their excuse be, though?
They would
write a fictitious review of the Hammer from one of these woke critics.
What would happen now is they wouldn't review it.
Oh, right.
Would probably be what happened, like what happened with Uppity. It doesn't have enough critic views. I mean, even though Uppity was on Netflix for years, Uppity.
They just put it up on the screen. No reviews. Okay, so no score on the tomato meter for critics, but it does have one review, and then 97% audience.
Right. So Uppity is made probably 10 or 15 lists of best sports doc, best black, best African American, whatever. It's made all the lists of sort of the best black docs or movies or whatever. It's also was on Netflix for 3 years. So it could be reviewed. But they won't review it because my name's on it. They hate me, but they can't really attack the material of the doc because the doc is about a courageous black man breaking into a sport that didn't have black people. So they can't do that. So what are they going to do? And they're just not going to review it.
I wonder if you can submit the list to be part of the critic score. Because, I mean, people with a blog, just from writing from their basement, get put up as a critic score.
I would argue that being on a whole bunch of, like you said, lists, a whole bunch of breakdowns of top 10 African-American films or whatever, must-see films of blah, 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 of color. I would argue that those
are positive reviews.
You know what's
they're
weird?
Recommending it.
I looked the other day for Uppity on Rotten Tomatoes, and it said it had 3 reviews. So I don't.
People are,
but I think you need 5
to have a score, to have an actual score, a number on the for critic score.
I think, but to answer the question, if I made the Hammer today, they would either not review it or give it a bad review. But they would focus it on me. They wouldn't really focus it on the material or Ozzy or Heather Jurgensen or anyone else who was in the movie. They'd
racist, misogynist podcaster.
Right. That's what they would do. So now they took over, and then they fucked up their brand. Just like the Oscars fucked up their brand, just like the Emmys fucked up their brand, just like CNN fucked up their brand. Everyone fucked up their brand by going down this road. That's what happened. And so old dads, bad dads,
old dads.
Here's the thing: you shouldn't know what the score is going to be from the critics based on the material in advance. It's about the execution of the material, and if there is a chasm, and that chasm is between 90% and 17% or whatever it is, then critics are not doing their job. Yeah. If you're reviewing a pizzeria and the people love the pizza and you just give it bad bad reviews as the food critic for the LA Times, then you've missed your mark.
Right. But I don't know. There's a thing too about critics. I think I was really surprised to see how low the score was, because I think a lot of critics are actually contrarians as well. They like to go against the grain. That's what makes people want to listen to them, because they have a different angle on how to view things. But yeah, I read some of these reviews and it was just total. It was as if The Onion wrote them. Like,
yeah, that's where we're at.
What they were complaining about. But as I said, like I am right when I saw the movie, I'm already on Bill Burr's side. So I don't know, maybe I am biased. But.
Well, look, here's the other deal too. You have to think about the job and who is attracted to that job. If you talk to a commercial airline pilot, you will find somebody who agrees with you on every subject. If you don't have a bunch of fucking whacked out ideas about pulling down pictures of missing kids that Hamas has abducted. You know what I mean? Like when I talk to people in certain professions, I know exactly how they think. If the profession forces them to think clearly, airline pilots, you'll agree with them on just about everything. You won't find one that is whacked out and has crazy notions about COVID. You know what I mean? Right. You won't find anyone you saw driving in their car alone with a mask on during COVID. None of them were commercial airline pilots. Many of them could have been movie critics. The profession draws certain groups. So critics, lefty nut job wackadoodles, all the people that are on the college campuses protesting against Israel and stuff, like all the super hard left fucking pie in the sky. You can't say woman, you have to say birthing person, and there's no you can't define a man, and we need guys with dicks on the swim team. Those are all the critics. Those are all critics. They're fucking pro Hamas and pro everyone cutting their dick off. Unless Hamas does it, in which case I'd have a problem with it. Those are the critics. So with that in mind, we're going to let them just review what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because they can't stop rubbing their stink on everything, they can't just sit back and objectively critique a film. They can't. Everything has to do. They got to get their fucking stink on everything, just like they have to force you into whatever they think about. Look, what I mean is like when COVID came around, I was like, do what you want. I'm not wearing a mask. You want to wear a mask? Do it. But they don't live that way. They need you. They need to put their stink on you. So they can't sit back and objectively be a film critic. They can't do it. All their politics and all their thinking, it all gets baked into this cake known as a film review, and they can't help themselves. So that's why you get this.
Yeah.
And now the system is corrupted because I know in advance. When the bearded hillbilly guy was singing his guts off about Richmond, north of Richmond.
Right.
And you said, Rolling Stone's going to review the song. How did I know they were going to hate it in advance? Everyone else loves it.
I know.
All right, so now they've corrupted.
It's so predictable now.
Just fucking knock it off. That's what I'm saying. Have one person on your news network go, I don't know, how do we know Hunter Biden's laptop isn't real? 3 years ago. There's a laptop. Somebody has it. There's a bunch of pictures of Hunter Biden on it. How do you think Soviets dropped it off at that Mac store in Delaware? I don't know. Maybe ivermectin does work. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Why don't we leave it up? No. None of it. And that's how you know they're corrupted. And that's why we must get our information in a cornucopia of places. Nancy Pelosi's daughter, although I know you want us just going to Rotten Tomatoes, and MSNBC. All right, let's take a break. Let's see. Lily Gladstone to win Best Actress odds she's plus 138.
And she's the highest, the best,
she's the front runner,
the worst odds. I mean, the lowest pay. She's the front runner, like Chris
right,
said.
But 138 isn't that bad.
She's the favorite.
It's going to move. It's going to get worse.
Right, might as well just do it now because it's
do it now.
Nothing else is coming out, right? Christoph Waltz isn't changing genders, is he?
Well, yeah. If Christoph Waltz transitioned and was then forced into a wheelchair because it was a botched surgery, and announced he was on the spectrum, then
sorry. That's a gamble you should take.
We have a leader in the clubhouse of the intersectional coalition. She is heavy, and she is an Indian, and she was great.
Yeah.
Early money. All
Early
right.
money.
I'm putting money down. All right. We'll take a break and do some news right after this. What's the perfect roommate? Well, let's see. Who comes when you call? Who doesn't forget to lock doors? Who doesn't steal your milk a little at a time and hope you don't notice? I think we know the answer to that. At Apartments.com, they understand when it comes to roommates, a pet can be your best bet. They're easygoing, eat what you serve, and never clog the toilet. Apartments.com, the most pet-friendly rental listings on the internet, and instant alerts the moment your perfect pet-friendly place becomes available. When you need a place that's pet-friendly and human-tolerant, check out Apartments.com. That's Apartments.com, the place to find your pet-friendly place. The Jordan Harbinger Show, a different kind of sponsor for this episode, the Jordan Harbinger Show. Well, if you're a fan of fascinating podcasts and interesting people, you should definitely check this one out. There's an episode for everyone, no matter what you're into. Jordan talks with Scott Adams about persuasion in a world where facts don't matter anymore. Man, is he right. Or you go inside the dark world of wildlife trafficking. You'll always find something useful to apply to your own life, like routine changes to boost productivity or slight mindset tweaks to change how you see the world. Jordan's a good guy. We've had him on many times. I know the man well, and he's worth a listen. We enjoy the show, and we know you will too. So you can search The Jordan Harbinger Show. That is HARB as in boy, IN as in Nancy, GER on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Oh, I miss Ozzy, because I would say, Ozzy, it's book. It's not boo. And he'd go, boo. And I'd go, it's not boo. It's book. Boo. Book. Boo. And then I would get angry because I realized I said it both ways. And that's when I would get angry, because I'd be like, people would tap me on the shoulder and go like, in their culture, they don't. Yeah, I don't say boo, but I'm saying it. I'm saying it the wrong way, but I can do it.
I read you both.
Let me hear it again.
I read you both.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was just talking to Dr. Drew about my old barber. I don't think I was talking about it on this show. I was talking about it with Dr. Drew. He was telling me he was trading in his Bobo for a Sav. And I was like, your Volvo for a Saab? And he said, yes, my Bobo for a Sav. And I was like, no, it's Volvo. Bobo. Volvo. Bobo. Okay, forget that one. Let's go with the Saab. Sav. No. Saab. Sav. I go, well, you can say V's and B's. You're saying Bobo. Now use that B and put it on the end of your Saab. Sav. No, Saab.
Switched.
Bobo. I was like, you're doing both. You're doing both. They're in the wrong spot. Just take
You're capable of making that noise.
Take the V from the end of Sav, which is Saab, and put it at the beginning of Volvo. Bobo. Okay, Sav. I was like, I made him put a pencil in his mouth. I made him put a pencil like sideways in his mouth. I was looking at him
to
through the
torture
mirror.
him.
He was cutting my hair, and I was like, now say it, like, Volvo. Sav. It kind of worked putting the pencil across his mouth. I mean, he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what he got.
You weren't.
Yeah, I wasn't. Trade this Bobo in for a Sav. Jesus Christ. You can say them both. Just put them in the right place.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I
know. I'm sorry. I'm angry. I'm angry because I'm going back and forth each direction. Look, I get there's certain letters that we as Americans can't say.
Like, I can't say like French words. Like, if you tell me to repeat something in French.
I get it. But he could say V and he could say B. He could. He just wouldn't put it in the right
Right.
spot. Okay. Anyway.
All right. Well, speaking of getting those tattoos to show how much weight you've gained, Emily Blunt is actually under fire from an old interview that she did over a decade ago. So the social media clip resurfaced of her mocking a woman's weight. She recalled this experience when she went out to eat at a local Chili's restaurant while shooting the film Looper. So here's the clip from the Jonathan Ross Show.
You go to Chili's, you can see why so many of our American friends are enormous. Because I ordered a starter once and it was like 4 mini burgers and they were as big as proper burgers.
Yeah. Well, the girl who was serving me was enormous. You know, I think she got freebie meals at Chili's.
Nothing wrong with that.
And she comes up and she goes, "Did anyone ever tell you you look a lot like Emily Blunt?" And I said, "I have heard that, yes." And she went, "Are you Emily Blunt?" And I went, "Yeah." And she went, "What are y'all doing here?"
So this clip's been making the rounds again. So Emily Blunt had to go apologize.
Does she, though?
Well, she didn't have to, but she did.
My argument is don't.
I know that you're arguing.
We're now taking lap 2 around Retard Park. All this stuff Israel launches their counteroffensive and you're completely off the news the next day.
Right.
That's all.
We forget things. So yeah, just let it go and it'll die down. I mean, yeah, it's interesting how PR teams handle these kinds of things.
I think there's a problem with PR teams, and I'll tell you why. First off, Emily Blunt is a delight. I spent half the night at Kimmel's house, some Christmas party or something, X amount of years ago, just talking to her, and she's a delight.
Cool.
She's fun. She's talented. She was a ballerina, I think. She's amazing. She's
awesome.
A great actress and everything else. She's
fan.
a delight. So PR teams, you have to hire them, and then you pay them a lot of money, and then they need to do something. So this is my theory on. It's like he's an officer of diversity and equity who works for the University of Southern California, and he gets paid $331,000 a year. Well, that guy has to now walk around and find shit. That's his job. You know what I mean? And the shit may not have been anything,
right?
But he's going to find it because that's his job. And then we'll have many more issues involving diversity and race on campus and problems because we appointed somebody to be in charge of finding those problems, and he's finding them. So Publicist, anybody, Kathy Griffin having a press conference after the whole thing with Donald Trump's ketchup head and breaking down and crying, they're trying to kill me and stuff. That ends up getting much more press than the actual event that got her the shitty press 5 days earlier.
Yeah.
We're already talking about something else.
We've moved on.
But now everyone has to make an official comment. What they don't realize is you wait 2 days, we're done. We've moved on. Whatever it is. The insane part is like, ABC's got to fire the host of The Bachelor. No, they don't. Just give it 2 days and it's gone. Just no comment. We're done. You think we're going to keep... Oh, it's been 2.5 years. You think we're still... Why does Chris Harrison have a job? This is an outrage. Or are we just done?
On to the next. Yeah.
72 hours of silence. Done. But these guys are playing from a playbook from the year 2000. That's what these puzzles. I'm going to write a retraction, an apology.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're still fired. We still hate you. And now there's more bad publicity because you've backpedaled. Yeah. And you've essentially admitted you were wrong by apologizing. You've admitted that you did something wrong by apologizing for it. I had an argument with my mom once that was like, it was like 9 hours long, where she's like, just apologize. And I'm like, I'm not going to apologize because that means I did something wrong and I didn't do something wrong. And she was like, just apologize. So good. It was a great use of both our times. Now looking back on it, in hindsight. So don't say anything, but the publicist gets $5,000 a month from the celebrity. So what's the publicist going to say? What's the crisis team? Like, I am paying this crisis team. I'm paying this publicist. Okay. Emily Blunt, what should you do? How about chillax?
Yeah, don't do anything.
And do nothing. Okay. and then something flares up 18 months from now, and I call you again, like, what's up? And I go, don't do nothing. No, we're not going to release a statement. Don't release that. I'm not going to craft something. I'm going to put your name on it. We're not doing anything. Just do nothing. Well, how long before Emily Blunt goes, what the fuck am I paying this person $5,000 a month for, who keeps telling me what to do? Nothing. And a diversity and inclusion officer who's just sitting on his fucking desk like the Maytag man going, I looked for racism on Monday, but I didn't really see anything. How long's that guy got a job?
So you think they're just acting they're just doing something? There's motion? These
publicists are like women in their 60s who are looking at let's put it to you this way. If you would have talked to most Americans or maybe American Jews or whatever 20 years, in the same year, the year 2000, they go, Hamas, what do you want to do? Well, we should reason with them. They want to raise their kids in peace and harmony. Give them a little bit of land and give them their own thing and build a hospital. And because they're peace-loving people, just want to raise. Now you realize, they're fucking terrorists. You have to destroy them. You have to kill them. You can't work with them. You can't live with them. You can't reason with them. It's the same with this. They're playing from a playbook that's 25 years old that goes, look, you have to just issue an official statement that talks about regret and stuff. And the people still do it. And all we do is bring up the story a second time. You can't even think of the stories where they said something and the person went, nah. Just, by the way, don't even say go pound sand or fuck you or I'm not walking back. You just say nothing. It's like arguing with your wife or your kid in a car. Try saying nothing for 3 miles. See if that argument doesn't just say nothing.
Fade away.
It'll just go away.
Fade away.
Or you can answer back. And now we're going to argue from here to Yosemite.
Well, she issued an apology to people. She said, quote, I just need to address this head on as my jaw was on the floor watching this clip from 12 years ago. I'm appalled that I would say something so insensitive, hurtful, and unrelated to whatever story I was trying to tell in a talk show.
Well, was it making fun of fat people?
No,
or was it the hillbilly part?
It was the hillbilly part. Yeah, I think she was just trying to showcase her hillbilly accent personally.
Well, also what people don't understand is you're on a talk show and you're trying to entertain the audience, so you're going to say things that are a little bit heightened.
Yeah. So she said, it happened. I said it, and I'm so sorry for any hurt caused. I was absolutely old enough to know better. I think she was like 27, 28 when the clip happened. But having to apologize for something you said in your 20s.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine?
Oh, my God. If you'd been able to film me when I was in my 20s, oh, my God. I mean, well, first off, I wouldn't be canceled. I'd be assassinated. I'd actually be, and it would be from the American government. It would be like an official, I'd get droned like a terrorist in a motorcade.
Yeah,
in Yemen. Yeah. That's and no one would shed a tear.
Jon Stewart is in the news right now because they just canceled his show. Apple canceled the third season of The Problem with Jon Stewart. They were set to begin taping in a couple weeks, but then members were informed about the show's fate on Thursday. Sources say it was because some of the topics that they're going to hit was China and AI, and this is Apple.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't happy, so due to, quote, creative differences, they decided to cancel the show. Also, some of the guests that he had planned, I don't know who they were, but that's what they said. So, Jon Stewart, third show, axed. Third season.
That's interesting. I mean, look, everybody, I don't want to sound, trite, but just follow the money for everything and follow the money. I mean, it's sad. And so what it is like when I was young, it was easy to follow the money because that guy's smoking the cigar with the pinky ring and the 3-piece suit. Don't buy it. Don't listen to that guy. He's a big oil executive. He just wants the land. He's going to throw the indigenous people off the land and start punching holes in it. And it was easy. It was kind of easy to figure out who was who, you know, and so now corporations, you know, big corporations have figured out that we can't have Apple. Our guy, what's his name? The lead over there at Apple.
Oh,
yeah,
Tim.
Yeah,
Cook.
Cook.
Tim Cook. Yeah,
Tim Cook.
I was gonna say Tim Apple. Like what Trump
we
called
gotta dress him like a sort of sagely lesbian. You know, no Rolex watch, no pinky rings, no 3-piece suits. You're gonna wear sort of we're going to tone you down,
right,
and we're going to get you some sensible frames, and then you're going to get up there and sound good, and you're going to talk a lot about inclusion and diversity. We're going to talk like, Subaru, what's your main business? We make attack helicopters for the Japanese government. Okay, well, no, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to show lesbians in station wagons with puppies. The dog's driving the car. And he's talking about love.
I love it.
All right. And are we going to talk about warranty or powertrain warranty or rust? No. Nothing. We may not even say Subaru. We're just going to have...
Yeah, we're not fueled by gasoline. We'll be fueled by...
Steve, is there such thing as a lesbian dog? Because we're talking about this.
Oh.
Okay. Well, if there is, we're going to have the lesbian dog driving the other dogs, and they're going up to rescue a dog in the forest somewhere.
Yeah,
okay, but we're not going to talk about durability, gas mileage, and we're certainly not going to bring up attack helicopters that we make that fire missiles and kill people. Okay, none of that. Every one of these motherfucking companies has figured this out. You know what I mean? Like, hey, the NBA, we'll just write like end hate or something on our floors, or end racism or something like that. But we're doing business with China big time. Big fucking time. We'll do it. And it's all money. It's all money. But the money, when I was a kid, it was easy because everyone's like a cartoon character. And then, like I said, it's like NBA. What do we got to do? Apple, what do we give money to Black Lives Matter? Well, how do you know where that money is? It doesn't matter. Just give them the fucking money. And Black Lives Matter, they want inclusion and the diversity and stuff. Yeah, and they want a nice house in Topanga Canyon, and fuck the Israelis. So what do they want? It's all it's all Ellen. It's all Ellen. Everything is Ellen. Look at her dancing. Look at her dancing. Look at her dancing. Yeah, then she goes backstage and throws a coffee pot at an employee, right? But we're so fucking dumb.
Doesn't matter.
Look at Tim.
I love her.
If Tim Cook starts showing up in Armani suits with like a pinky ring, smoking, we'd be like, I don't trust Apple anymore. I don't trust. No, sensible sweater. Remember, you're gay. Just get up there. Nice, sensible haircut, good frames. Just go up there and speak in soft tones, talk about inclusion, and then we'll just go fucking farm everything out to China.
Yeah.
Okay. And Hollywood. You do the same thing. You just talk about inclusion and diversity, and look, we got an American Indian chick. We're going to nominate her. We'll give her the award. You guys all stand. And meanwhile, we won't fuck with China. Well, it's big business for us. Don't say anything about China. You can't make any moves. You can't. So you can make a documentary about, you know, how bad the water is in Michigan, and you can make one about kids in cages on the border, but nothing with China.
Yeah, don't touch
nothing.
China.
Yeah, Steve Kerr, thoughts about everything that has to do with diversity and inclusion. No thoughts about China.
Right.
The zero Chinese. Nope, no China thoughts. Huh. All right. A lot of people in gulags there. Nope. No thoughts. Okay. Everyone, it's a fucking scam. It's a scam. Otherwise they wouldn't be running their commercials this way. Jesus Christ. You got to catch on.
Yeah.
Everyone, wake up. It's all a fucking scam. But what I'm saying is it's not a scam. It's money. So Tim Cook can say whatever he wants, but he wants money.
Right.
And the NBA can say whatever they want, but they want money. And Subaru can say whatever they want, but they want money. And they realize it's easier to make more money if we shift from talking about powertrain warranty to talking about puppies.
Yeah.
Because America is getting soft and they're fucking dumb. So we can fool them with all of it. Everything. Pfizer's figured it out. All of them. They just want money. But they're picking a non-money angle to get money. And we haven't figured them out. The guy's wearing board shorts and flip-flops. He can't be into money.
Yeah, it's misdirection.
Yes, that's the time we're living in. And that's why the people that want the most money do the most discussions about love and embracing all genders, and everyone is welcome at the table. It's all Oprah wants money. So she talks in a circle about bullshit, about inclusiveness and a seat at the table. And Michelle Obama wants money. So she talks in a circle about bullshit. That's the new world order. That's how you get paid.
Yeah.
You don't get paid doing what I'm doing.
You were losing money.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Also, Dave Chappelle in the news. So he performed at the TD Garden Arena in Boston, and he started talking about the Hamas attacks. And also, so the paper, Wall Street Journal reports that Chappelle said the U.S. was guilty of aiding the slaughter of innocent civilians. Said, war crimes were occurring. He also criticized the Israeli government for cutting off supplies to Gaza's population, blocking humanitarian aid. But he concluded by saying that two wrongs don't make a right. Some members in the audience shouted "Free Palestine," and people walked out. People left because he was talking about. He was saying some pro-Israel stuff.
I don't think the brothers love the Jews. Maybe it's just me. But so here's the thought on him. Yeah.
Oh yeah. One person wrote. Sorry. But I meant pro-Palestine. So he said one person wrote, quote, "The audience was cheering Chappelle on during this tirade. I was sick. We were sick. I turned to my friends and wife and said, I think it's time to go. He walked out and met up with many other Jews leaving the show. Never in my life have I felt so unsafe and so fearful of what I was witnessing."
Well, so were there jokes in there? You know, and what I'm saying is like Chappelle has become a deity in comedy, and I don't know if that's a good thing, because I think you need some enemies in the wild. You know what I mean? Like, here's my theory. My theory is like Lori Lightfoot. She's the black lesbian mayor of Chicago, right? Mm-hmm. She gets busted for locking everyone down and then getting her hair cut, right? What's her answer? I care about my hair. Fuck off. She doesn't have enemies in the wild. Who's going to take her down? Who's going to say something? You'll be called a racist and a bigot and whatever else, right? Dave Chappelle has ascended to such a spot in comedy that I think he just walks out there sometimes and goes, I don't need to tell jokes. I'm just going to fucking start talking. Because it's like, you're here to see me, not see a comedian tell jokes. Like, my question is, why is he even drifting into this stuff if there's not a joke attached to it?
Right.
You know what I mean? I also believe he lights the cigarette as soon as he goes out on stage because there's a no smoking policy, and he dares someone to come in and tell him to fucking not smoke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's setting a precedent already.
He could smoke in the dressing room and then walk out on stage, but he walks out on stage and lights a cigarette. I don't know. This is, I like Dave Chappelle, and I think he's gutsy with a lot of his opinions. I disagree with him on this one, and it's just it's such a cut and dried situation that it's just weird to be on any side of it that's not Israel. It just is. They're the only sane people in that entire region, and the other side does not want to live in harmony with Israel. They want them dead. That's it. We don't need to discuss anymore. Now, we can talk about, but what about innocent civilians? Well, this is a risk you run when you are homicidal maniacs and you would like the other side dead. And you put all your munitions in hospitals and in daycare centers. That's what happens. Sorry, you're going to have to figure something out. The good people of Palestine need to rise up and not support or elect Hamas. It'd be like, what if the Klan was just running the United States? We elected the Klan to run the United States. And then my argument was, but they're not, most Americans aren't racist. I was like, we just stand back and let the Klan run the United States. And, we've elected them. But most Americans are just good, hardworking, honest people who are not racist at all. Yeah, but the Klan has been running the United States for 25 years, and they elected them. Yeah, but most Americans are good, honest, hardworking, God-fearing, without a religious bone in their body. And it's like, okay, but the Klan is running the United States. I don't know what to tell you. Like, well, if that's how it was, then I would say, you know what? I think more people like the Klan in this country than I'd anticipated. That's what I would draw, and I will say the same for fucking Hamas. Okay? So now, here we are, everybody.
Yeah.
A friend of mine called me the other day, and he said that he trusts me, and he needed me to try to explain this thing to him as simple as possible. And I told him, imagine someone comes to your house and kills your dog, and then you go find him, and you beat the fucking living shit out of him, and you finally stop because they beg for mercy, and everybody around is going, let him off the hook. And then next week he comes back to your house and kills your other dog.
Are you just explaining him John Wick?
That's exactly correct. And then does it 18 times.
Yeah.
And on the 19th time, when you say, now I have to kill this guy, everyone goes, oh, this is, it's not two wrongs, don't make a right. It's like, what do you mean? He came into my yard and he killed my dog.
Right.
Now, and the first 18 times, I did let him go.
Yeah.
Now we need to kill him. That's where we're at, everybody. It's avoidable, but it's not avoidable if Hamas is going to be Hamas and you're going to let them run Palestine. All right. Now we're going to get on to less depressing news because we're going to talk to NFL columnists who put together a list of the 100 greatest football. Wow. I just saw a name I didn't even recognize. Clyde Bulldog Turner. I'll ask about him. He's the greatest football players of all time, and it's vetted. So we'll talk to Mike Sando right after this. Well, good news. It's O Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get the most out of your membership. Shop, earn points, and get rewards sent right to your phone or email. If you're not an O Rewards member yet, sign up. It's quick and it's easy. You can do it online or in the store if you like. Just ask one of their professional parts people about joining O Rewards next time you visit, and you can start earning points on your first purchase. Sign up for both email and text and get even more out of your membership. And right now, members receive 2 times, 3 times, up to 8 times O Rewards points on select purchases. Those bonus points can help you get to your next reward even faster. You receive a $5 reward for every 150 O Rewards points, and you can use your reward on your next in-store or online purchase. So don't miss O Rewards Member Appreciation Month now at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and O'ReillyAuto.com. Mike Sando, he's columnist. He knows all things NFL. He's got a book out called The Football 100. It's available wherever you find finer books. And it's got the 100 greatest football NFL players of all time.
He ranked them.
How did you arrive at these rankings?
Okay, so about 3 years ago, there was me, Dan Pompei, Ed Bouchette, who's since retired. We're all like Hall of Fame selectors. We were all working at The Athletic at the time. And I still am, and Dan still is. And they said, let's do 100 greatest players list. So we kind of got in a smoky room, came up with something, and it evolved into a series on The Athletic of stories. Well, then they decided to do a book. They got me and Dan Pompei back and said, hey, let's update this thing. Let's do a little more rigor on the list, fine tune it, and we'll do a book. And so we added a few guys. I think by then Tom Brady had won another Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, so we moved him ahead of Jim Brown as the number one player. We thought that was pretty important to have, won it right away outside of a Belichick type of context. So, that's how we did it. There's probably 150 or 200 people that could be on it easily. My heart sunk, in absolute fear when you mentioned Bulldog Turner on there, because if we're going to have a 20-minute discussion on him, I mean, you're going to expose me as not, knowing exactly how great Bulldog Turner was, because it was so long ago. There's guys like that on the list where you're like, okay, he led the league in interceptions and was an all-star center and was on the all-decade team of the 40s, and he's on the whatever anniversary team. We're putting him on there. Did I see him play? No, sometimes we have to.
Well, who was Clyde Bulldog Turner?
He was a center and linebacker for the Chicago Bears in the 40s. He, like I said, he led the league in interceptions one year and was a great lineman.
I thought you were making that up.
Seth for real.
It's crazy.
I was like, weren't you just listening to me? No, that was actually true.
It seems so unthinkable by today's game that you could play center and then lead the league in interceptions that I thought you were literally making a joke about a guy who'd couldn't get further apart.
Well, think of him. So he's listed here at whatever 6'1", 240. I mean, it's just a totally different game. So one of the fun parts of doing this, and I know, Adam, you're a big football fan and have a lot of knowledge. Probably you're a few years older than I am, so you may remember even a few more guys than I do. But what was really fun to me was, especially like running back and wide receiver, where we know even though a yard is not worth what a yard is worth, we can measure guys against their own peers in their own era. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. I did like a technical study to see like, how do you contextualize elite performance for like a wide receiver? And to do it, I like studied all the great wide receiver careers, and I realized that we're talking about really about 8 years to evaluate for each guy. They don't play for 20 years. If they play for 5, it's not enough. I looked at every receiver in history's best 8 seasons for receiving yards and looked at it not comparing Don Hutson from 60 years ago to Steve Largent, but comparing each of them to where they finished among their peers in their 8 best years. And it was really cool. Like Jerry Rice led the league like 6 times. Don Hutson, maybe 7. So those guys actually came out of the top. Randy Moss was 3rd. You'll never guess who was 4th. Torrey Holt.
Wow, for the Rams.
9 or 10 years, and they were all amazing.
Yeah.
Then it was Steve Largent, Julio Jones, Marvin Harrison, James Lofton, but all these names came in, and I was like, okay, we're onto something here. This is interesting to me.
Steve Largent needs to be on this list just for that great story about being destroyed by a DB, and then later on in the season, that same DB picked one off, and he lit him up. I mean, you'll never see that again, will you? I mean,
no. Anyone go on like YouTube and just search for Mike Harden, Steve Largent. There's like an NFL Films thing on it.
Yeah.
He's coming across the middle. Like Mike Harden would be incarcerated now if this hit was delivered now. I mean, it's a death blow. Knocks him out cold. And yeah, they came back later in the season, and just as chance would have it, Mike Harden picks off a pass and is meandering through, and Largent out of nowhere just knocks the snot out of him, separates him from the ball, and then recovers the fumble. It's like you couldn't make it up.
It's just one of those. It's like, I can't remember who in Major League Baseball, but they were playing the Dodgers, and the guy hit 2 grand slams in 1 inning. And I'm like, I don't care. You could live 10,000 lifetimes. No one will ever hit 2 grand slams in the same inning.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And the same with the Steve Largent thing. Just getting blown up by DB week 2, and now week 11 you're playing that team again, and you destroy the guy because he picked it off.
Awesome. Yeah, and also one of the only guys to retire with the career leads in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Very hard to do. Not going to be done now with Jerry Rice putting it all out there, but he was a special player.
How do you do the different eras and different times? Because like in the NBA, it's really hard to decipher like who they want to name like the greatest players of all time, because like, oh, they're playing against plumbers and firemen back in the day. Like, so how do you do that with football?
You do it to the best of your ability, but you can't solve it. You can't solve it across positions also. I mean, I think we have, if there's 100 people on here, I'm going to get, I think like 18 or 19 are quarterbacks. I mean, how do you decide the value of a career when you're talking about a quarterback versus a outside linebacker? I mean, you're really looking at, first off, some of that is like, hey, have you been vetted by the Hall of Fame? That's part of it. We're not just discovering some guy who we thought was good that we scouted ourselves in 1938. we are looking at your credentials. We're weighing it with some of your team accomplishments in some cases. It's kind of like I'm on the Hall of Fame selection committee. We get it right sometimes, we get it wrong sometimes, but you're almost, in eliminating people, you're kind of looking for that, is there a flaw? Oh, this guy was great, but his career was cut short at 7 years. Well, guess what? We got enough guys that played 14 years and went to 12 Pro Bowls. We're putting them on the list. And so in the end, it's really supposed to be kind of the best of the best, where these guys shouldn't have a big hole in their career, other than like a Gale Sayers. I think he's one of the few guys that had like a short career, but was so special. Dan Pompei, who's from Chicago, would not let me leave him off. And I wasn't going to either. I think he was an incredible player. But for the most part, that's going to be an outlier. You've got to like check almost all the boxes.
I'm sitting around on a different subject. I think there's 3 current players who are on the list, or 4. We got Aaron Rodgers. We got Patrick Mahomes here.
Aaron Donald. Julio Jones.
Oh, I forgive me, Julio. I forget Julio Jones is in the league because he's been there for so long. And, the skill position guys don't always last as long as some of the interior linemen and stuff. But I forget Julio Jones he was a veteran in the Super Bowl, a few years back, Yeah. I'm surprised he's still out there.
And because he's been sort of so-so for a few years, you have to like step back and remember how dominant he was, even though we all remember it. You sort of have this view of him now that isn't the same as it will be 10 years from now when we're looking back at his career. Really was special. The other guy, I think, like of current players that, probably like Travis Kelce at this point. I know it's not just off of yesterday's game, but like when I did that study of the wide receivers and just looking at their elite yardage as a wide receiver against their peers, like the only tight end that like really came up into that with the same sort of production, even against wide receivers, like Travis Kelce's in that mix.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, so Travis Kelce, when I evaluated the 8 best seasons of all wide receivers, he came in a notch above Chris Carter, Rod Smith, and Sterling Sharp.
Wow.
I mean, he's a tight end. I know he's a receiving tight end, but still that's like octave standard deviations even above like Tony Gonzalez, who then is standard deviations above Jason Witten, Shannon Sharp, Antonio Gates, even Gronk, who you'd have to consider as more of an all-around player. But still, Kelce probably deserves to be on this thing.
So speaking of Kelce, his brothers play center for the Eagles, and they do the tush push move or whatever we're calling it. And first off, it's just they convert every 4th down. If it's got to be less than 2 yards, maybe a yard and a half. They'll probably do it yard and a half, 2 yards. I don't know if they'll go for it, but when you play them, your team plays them, it gets frustrating. Because first thing first, you don't really realize how many 4th and 1s they end up in. Because I guess when you punt on 4th and 1, you kind of you forget about it. But they convert. I mean, they just convert. And then also, they're kind of playing with 4 downs, and everyone else is kind of playing with 3 downs because it changes what they do.
Your goal is to get 9 yards.
And then I look at it and I just go, why is it unstoppable? And then they go, because their quarterback can squat 600 pounds. And I go, but that can't be all of what's happening. Yes, he's a strong physical player. There are a lot of strong physical quarterbacks in the league, and they can't do this. So what am I missing? Yeah. Why is it effortless for them? And there is no defense for it. The interior line on the defensive line, submarine. The pack goes over the top of them, and some DB jumps on top of them and goes like along for the ride. But what do we do about this? Do we make it illegal?
I do think it's a perfect storm. To me, it's a perfect storm of. I think the quarterback is a huge part of it, because what you don't realize, probably, just as a fan watching, is like, a lot of these quarterbacks don't want to sneak at all. Like, it's a personal preference thing. Some of these guys don't want to stick their nose in there anyway.
Right.
And so to build a whole system and scheme around that guy doing that, you got to have a guy who really wants to do it and wants to be good at it. So like in the non-athletic component, like Tom Brady got good at it just on the, finding that right spot. They practiced it. But this is a whole nother level. So now when you have the full buy-in of your quarterback who squats 600, probably lifts with the offensive linemen, like they're all like good. They're all, I think you get a whole level of buy-in from your whole operation you can't get without the quarterback really leading the way. So different type of quarterback, stronger. He's not your classic 6'4", 215-pound guy. He's 6'1", and every bit of that and thick. So now you're going to play. You're going to play your opponent, right? And your opponent is going to dedicate only so much of their off-season meeting time, their in-season meeting time, to specific things you do. So if we're playing Lamar Jackson, you better believe it. We're going to have a plan. We're going to meet on it. Our whole team's going to be aware. When we're just going to play Philly in week 6 and there's going to be 3 plays, like we're going to work on it, but we're not going to work on it to get so good that we're going to be half as good as they are as executing it. And I think that's what's happening. I think they're like winning in the margins with a play that they have mastered, and others are going to only work so hard to stop because it's not like it's every play. It might not even happen in some games.
I know. I think the other week they did it 2 times in a row. They ended up jacking up my Rams doing it. Man, it is a derringer in your boot at a bad poker game. It's always there, and it's money, and it's just, I don't know. It's just a great, it's not all the arrows in your quiver, but it's good to have that one in it, man.
Oh yeah.
And it seems to come up more than you'd think.
Well, and like we were saying a minute ago, like it's built into what they do on third down.
Right.
When teams study, every team studies what the other team does on fourth down, but they always look at third down too. They want to see how you play into fourth down. They're playing into fourth down, not worried if they come up short. So you got to defend more. You have more to defend on third down because they don't, like I said, they can get it or not get it. They're fine.
Well, I guess it's like, it's 3rd and 4. 3rd and 4 is a passing down for modern teams in the NFL. But if you're Philly and all you need is 2.5 or 3 yards, it may be a running play now on 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 5. And that kind of stuff freezes linebackers and makes safeties move up closer to the line. And it affects everything.
Then 2 weeks from now, you pull the ball out and you throw deep to, your wide receiver who's now got 2 steps on the guy.
Right. Yeah. God bless him. Who's going to win this Super Bowl then now? Thinking about it.
I don't try to overthink it. I think Kansas City is my choice. I feel like Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback that I can think of in history that can win championships without an even above average defense. If you look at all the guys, Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, I always say, who led the 1980s in fewest points allowed? It was the 49ers. I mean, the defense is such a part of winning it all. So when I look at Mahomes, he's got like multiple Super Bowl appearances and championships, and we're not putting 3 guys from his defense in the Hall of Fame, or they don't have like a long-established defensive culture. He's able to do it whether or not they're squared away on that side of the ball. This year, they happen to be playing like a top 5 or 10 defense. So as their offense gets better and guys like Rashee Rice in the receiving core sort of find their way, and you still have Kelsey, I mean, who else are you going to pick?
Offense wins games. That's what they say, right?
I agree. And Mahomes is unflappable. It seems he's such an improviser and he's such a creator. And, Brett Favre would do a lot of improvising, but he'd also throw a lot of picks when he was doing a lot of improvising. You know what I mean? Like, he improvises, throws the ball with his left hand, throws it sidearm, scrambles out and throws across the field. Like he does all the stuff, Mahomes, that every coach would at a Pop Warner level would say, don't do this. And he does it.
And then he can do all the stuff the proper way too. And he's driven. I mean, he's just somebody who I get the feeling like every year there's something under his skin that someone was a criticism or something he's trying to get better on. He's like constantly working on it.
Yeah.
And that just permeates your entire team. Then, by the way, he takes a great contract, but not the absolute best one he could get. And so what does that let you do? Just like Brady did. It lets you get Travis Kelce at not the absolute off the charts contract. It sets everything for your whole team. He's everything to them on and off the field.
So you have Mahomes listed at number 98, just barely squeaked into the football 100. With his current trajectory, though, where do you see him ending up?
Oh yeah, I think he's going to be in the top 10. He's going to be up there with Joe Montana, I think, by the end, and maybe pushing. I don't, depending what your criteria is. It would be hard to knock off Brady with all those championships. But when we first started doing this, like I said, it was a few years ago. We didn't have him on there because it was a little. He'd only played a few seasons, but since then, another Super Bowl, we felt like, all right, let's just put him on there. We got to account for him so that the main takeaway from the book isn't where's Mahomes. I think he had to be on there, but I think he's on his way up. And if we did a new list every year, he probably goes higher.
Oh, yeah. It's a foregone conclusion. I just thought about it with Kansas City winning the Super Bowl because of Taylor Swift. Because she has to have
she wins. She's a winner.
Year that is not average or above average. She has to have a stupendous year where everything has to be the best, the biggest, and the most. And I'm already cutting the pictures of her in the skybox.
They're zooming into her bracelet
with the mom and going, oh, of course they're winning the Super Bowl. Kelsey's going to catch the pass.
Kelsey's stats when Taylor's in the audience versus when she's not are like double.
But nothing bad can happen to Taylor Swift. That's the new decree. She can't have a bad day.
And they can't break up during the season. That would break the whole mojo. What if there was like a nasty spat in the hallway, after the game, out of the locker room, it was caught on. That can't happen. This has to stay as if everything's the most amazing thing ever, right?
Oh, he could announce to her tonight that he was gay, and she would still be obligated to hang out until after the playoffs, until after the Super Bowl. She has to.
At first, it sure seemed like, all right, is this just a media thing? But she doesn't need that. She's bigger than this whole NFL thing. So there must be something real to it.
I totally agree. Like when people go, oh, this is a stunt, like to get more publicity. That's all you have. I mean, if you gave her a magic wand, she would wish that she could walk into a Target and buy something like a normal human being and walk out to her car without a riot breaking out. I don't think she would say, I would like to be 20% more famous.
Yeah, no. Did you watch that documentary on her? It was pretty good. I kind of sympathized with her. Yeah, I don't think she's seeking it, in the wrong way. So,
what does Andy Reid think of all this?
He was kind of joking about it in the press conference after the show. Andy Reid strikes me as kind of a knock around, kind of fun, like be a good guy to have a hoagie and a beer with. Like that's what Andy Reid comes across. Probably last of the breed, husky. Like football coaches were husky dudes with big bushy mustaches who spoke frankly and liked to tilt a few beers and eat a grinder. And now they're all skinny and they got their laptop, they got their tablets and everything now,
Yeah, you look at like the LaFleur, Shanahan, McVay, the shirt's like a medium, and they look like they just finished working out and they probably only eat protein,
Right.
Yeah. And Andy Reid's doing that great commercial where he says the word nuggies. Have you seen that one? He's like, he's like Patrick Mahomes. It's like it's about bundling your car insurance or something, but it's in the context of like a bundled Happy Meal, And
right. Oh yeah.
Straight face. He's sitting there going, "Ooh, how about those nuggies?" He said nuggies the way like your 5-year-old would say it. It's totally endearing, but like I do think he runs a kind of a tight ship too. He has that kind of grandfatherly countenance, but I do think he's kind of has a hard ass thing too. With the team when he needs to, and is really in control, and then they just respect him because he also can he can make them be better. He knows exactly what he's doing. But I think there's a commander in there underneath all of that too.
Yeah, I agree. It's you have to kind of wear the hat of the disciplinarian and the hat of the nurturing mom and the hat of the calculating field marshal. You know, and you're dealing with tons of personalities and sometimes head cases. You know, you have to wear a lot of different hats. And yeah, you're right. These young guys, McVay, with their 29-inch waist and their shirt tucked in and their belt cinched up, just got off a rowing machine. A 24-hour
designer
fitness.
backpack, you know, they got the designer backpack with, you know, some pair of pants you've never heard of the manufacturer, right? You know.
Yes. Yeah, I was looking at one of the guys who coached, but also played. Forrest Gregg. Forrest Gregg coached, right, back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
The coaches. There's a great. Oh God, remember that? I'll screw it up. Who was a coach of the Bengals? Was it Sam
Wyche?
Sam Wyche. At a certain point, they were like throwing snowballs down on the field, and the ref, you know the story. I'll screw it up, but you tell the story then, because it's an old school coach, Sam Wyche.
Yeah. So Sam Wyche, I mean, just a beauty of a guy. I mean, his old feuds with like Jerry Glanville. I mean, just Google that. I mean, these guys were practically fighting, you know. But so snowballs raining down from the crowd at the home game for the Bengals. He goes and grabs the public address microphone and says, "Hey, knock it off. You're not in Cleveland." He takes a shot, takes a shot at the rival city, Cleveland. It was just perfect.
And I don't even know why they gave him the microphone to try to calm the crowd down.
Yeah.
But he just took a shot at Cleveland.
Drive by.
Does that microphone exist? Is there like a sideline microphone for the coach to address the crowd when needed? I don't know. Where is that?
I don't know. Why was it wired up? They have a mic where it'll go through the public address system of the stadium down on the sideline. Were they playing Cleveland?
No. I don't
better.
think they were playing Cleveland for that game. Although, shoot, I should know that, but I can't. I don't think that they were.
Byron, find the clip of that. Quit messing with your phone.
Yeah. I did. One of the funniest stories I ever did was like a look back at his feud with Jerry Glanville. It was unbelievable. The things he said after the game, after they played, because they ran it up 63-7 on Glanville, where he called timeout with like 20 seconds left to kick another field goal. So it was, I found my story. So they went for it on 4th down, leading 31-0.
Wow.
They recovered an onside kick, leading 45-0.
Onside kick?
They ran a fake reverse up 45-0. With the score 58-7 in the final 30 seconds, Sam Wyche could have took a knee. Instead, they called timeout, drilled a 30-yard field goal. And then after the game, he says, "Jerry is an unusual coach. Drop me a note if you find anybody who likes this guy, will you?" Called him an obnoxious ass. Said that's the dumbest football team, the most undisciplined, stupid football team I think we've ever played. I feel sorry for the Houston players having to put up with them. He can take that hit the beach stuff and take it back to high school or wherever he got it from. He's a joke. I wish it was a 5-quarter game because we would have loved to have jumped into that triple-digit thing. That's like after a game.
Sam
Wyche.
Wyche.
Press conference
Simple
now
times.
with the PR guy giving the list of things to say. Belichick doesn't say anything. He's calling him a division rival. That's what you're saying about your division rival. Awesome.
All right, Sam Wyche addresses the crowd in Cincinnati, because I know these guys are looking up something.
Oh, yeah, you got it?
Well, we will, except for they never pay attention when we're talking. So then they get the wrong story.
I'll get it right here.
All
here, we'll see if this cranks up loud enough.
They said they
All
have
right,
audio.
we got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be good.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland.
He's a maniac. I love this guy. I love that guy so much. He was big too. Like
Sounded big.
Oh yeah. He must have played in the league for sure.
Yeah.
And they would definitely.
Sam Wyche is a beauty. In fact, the reason he hated Jerry Glanville so much was that Jerry Glanville was a special teams coach, I think, in Detroit when Wyche was on the team, and the legend had it that Jerry Glanville had cut him or something, back in the day. So they had this feud that went back for years and then went at it in the pros. It was great.
Oh God, I love those. And I feel sorry in our purelled, sanitized world filled with tablets and publicists that will never be able to relive those kind of crazy Wild West days of the NFL. Mike, yes.
They used to fight. The coaches, the old AFC Central coaches would not get together in the offseason like the other ones would because they would fight. Marty Schottenheimer, Chuck Knox, Chuck Noll, they would actually get into it. Yeah, different era.
By the way, Cincinnati.
I know. Now everyone's trading jerseys and hugging it out and getting in a prayer circle.
Cincinnati was playing Seattle.
Oh, they're playing Seattle. That's so wild. Mike Sando's the name. The Football 100 is the book, and it's available
today. Don't get Britney Spears' book.
No, God.
Get this book.
Yes, please. Mike, always great talking to you. This was a real pleasure.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. So, Spokane, Washington, coming up, Spokane Comedy Club this Friday and Saturday, and then off to Tacoma. That'll be this Sunday, doing 2 shows there in Tacoma Comedy Club as well. Go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Chris Loxamana. That's his real name. And Mike Sando saying mahalo.